Happy Thursday and welcome back to the Wolff Den presented by Win Again Academy. I'm Matt Wolff, founder and CEO of Ticket Time Machine. Today we have a local celebrity to the South Florida area, soon to be to the rest of the U.S. Cruz with us. Welcome to the Wolff Den. Great to see you.
God, I love it. This is awesome.
Well, we're for those who are listening or the audience and who don't know who you are, give a quick intro and then we'll get into everything.
All right, Cruz Live. Thank you so much for having me on, Matt. Appreciate it. Television, radio, been hosting and special events pretty much 2 decades plus. Originally from Brooklyn, New York, now in South Florida. Was with iHeartRadio 15 years from 2005 to just recently, last year, with COVID. In the event space, the entertainment space, the entrepreneur space, and now just transitioning into like making a new space for my life and my family and everything else in between. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, great. It's a great story. We talk about the entertainment space, which we love. It's seeing it out at the events. We'll start with we'll go backwards. We're going to start with what you're doing now, and what people can look forward to. You have a new program coming out called 3RE, Reset, Rethink, Restart. What's that all about?
So the power of 3 came pretty much when I turned about 40. I had been already in radio, working with Y100 Miami, South Florida. I had the event company. We're doing a lot of different things, but changes were coming. This is just before COVID. And then I had to figure out how to then COVID hit. And then we had to kind of, reframe everything we were doing in our whole world of business with special events and entertainment. So the power of 3, Reset, Rethink, and Restart is kind of like, it's a new program that I'm working on to help people figure out how do they start over again. So if you look it up in the dictionary, if you look it up online, means again, and then new means to start over. And the Reset, Rethink, Restart process, it's kind of like a ready, set, go, 1, 2, 3 method of giving people a 1, 2, 3 step to move in a different direction. So because life changed. I mean, I did radio for 15 years. I had my event company. Life was good. COVID hit. A lot of things happened. And then I had to figure out how to basically start over again.
So, I mean, is it safe to say this is your new direction is part necessity? Not, I mean, obviously you want to do it, you're passionate about it, but it's, COVID kind of gave you a kick to say, look, I need to do something else. Or could you still do what you were doing in the past and that's what you do?
Wow. Yes, that's a complex question with a complex answer. I think we're still doing events and we're doing certain things because it didn't change tremendously. A lot of things did change, but I think overall, me as a person and growth just changed individually. And I realized that I had to just shuffle and move and figure out, next steps for me, just as an entrepreneur and just try to figure out how to grow and take it to the next level, not say mediocre. So it was already kind of in that segmented process of transitioning into something else. Then COVID kind of sunk in and really didn't give me an outlet and just kind of forced me into moving forward into other things. But what I'm trying to do with the power of 3 and, just as overall as a person, as an entrepreneur is taking my experiences of growth and change and the opportunity. I look at it as opportunity. When you restart something, if something fails on you and you're able to restart it, to me, it's an opportunity. Because most people don't take that as an opportunity, they take it as a failure, or they take it as a setback. I think if it's meant for life for you to change and do something differently, it's an opportunity to do something differently and just do that. So everything that's happened the last 24 months, with this change and my business change and coming out of radio and everything, it's funky, but it's okay. Cause as when you're a lone wolf or you're an entrepreneur, real entrepreneurs, because you got a lot of fake ones these days, a lot of young kids out there trying to, do big things, and kudos to them if they can. It's hard to get back out there and just stand back up and just keep moving forward.
But uncertainty, I mean, first of all, there's always uncertainty when you're a startup and entrepreneur in general. COVID, there's a lot of uncertainty with COVID, and that's just kind of part of the journey. Those who can ride the wave and who can adapt with that are the ones who are going to be at the other side.
Yeah, no, and you're right. The breed of an entrepreneur is very different. I think we're able to like yourself, we're able to sustain certain things. I'd rather fight on my own out in the darkness than to be connected to something that could disconnect from me at any given time. And that's what I'm with radio. I mean, listen, I spent 15 years in radio, and after 15 years here in Miami, I get a phone call and said, we don't need you anymore. You didn't do anything wrong. It's not your fault, but you're gone. So it's corporate. What do you do about that? It's a process of life. And I'm growing. So for me, I've done a lot of things in my career. This new season, and COVID's been interesting to everybody. So it's kind of flipped things up a little bit, but it also makes you look at things a little bit differently. And then you figure out, okay, what do I do next? So that's kind of where we're at right now, is really just those, what do I do next steps? And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm just trying to leverage my experience, what I'm good at. And I had to fight with that, because a lot of people, here's what I noticed, a lot of people, especially in this industry with the events industry and entertainment, a lot of people they went into whatever they thought was right? So they went into life insurance, they closed their DJ companies, they did whatever. They just were following the monies and not following their passions. And to me, that's a big deal too, because I tried doing that back in the past, and I don't want to follow the money and then I lose who I am as a person, the talent and my passion.
Yeah, that's important. And there's plenty of people who do just fine chasing the money, but it's, maybe their life is not fulfilled.
This is Jason Savino, Motion Emotions. I'm multitasking as I'm doing this interview with you.
Delivery. It's great.
I apologize. All right, Jay, thank you.
Yeah, it's.
But that's people. Listen. Here's the one thing that I sort of cut you off, Matt. But the one thing that I learned a while ago, and what kept me an entrepreneur, was that you got to stay true to what makes you happy, whatever that is. I believe that I talk about this in The Power of Three too. It's one of the first, lines of what we talk about in the first days of the workshops is, we're all given a gift to do something, whether it's speak, you're a carpenter, you're a really good chef, you're a really good mom. They're gifts. My wife is a great mom. You put all my kids in one room with me and I lose it. Like, I can't. But you put me in a room and tell me, okay, Chris, I want to make this, the next thing ever, what lighting and what this, and I'll walk in, I'll be like, okay, boom, we need this now, whatever. Same thing with you, Matt. Like you're, and like me, I'm a communicator. We love speaking with people. We can, how many people can't get on a microphone and get in front of a camera and they get terrified and they want to jump off a cliff?
I might be one of those. I mean, this is easier for me to do. We're on episode 169, but to do what you do, to stand up in front, it would take me a while to feel comfortable.
What? So you don't like live stages?
I haven't been on. I mean, I've done a few. I've spoken, but I haven't done a lot where I'm up on the stage.
I love it.
Speaking. Yeah, it's a tough thing to do. And what people don't realize is, and I want to go back on a couple of things you said, but the funny thing about radio is, and what you do, and it's radio, but I mean, you're at live events and doing stuff. You're just covering for the radio. So you're kind of, it's not just someone who's on the radio and just by themselves talking about what's going on. You're interacting, and also being on film, it's kind of have to do both of them. So some people only want to do radio. Some people only would want to do TV, but to be able to do both of them is not, it's a unique thing.
Well, I mean, listen, radio, being with iHeart for so many years, and I worked with so many different levels of what that was. I worked with MTV, I've done TRL, I've done the Emmys, the Grammys, the Tonys, the MTV VMAs. I was at one of the first original VMAs where Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears, and Madonna kissed in rehearsal, and I saw it before it went live on air. So I've got it, but radio is so different because it's very structured, and you have a very small amount of time to do everything, and you have to do it on a corporate level, right? So you got to say what they want you to say, and that's it. And I remember, what was it? When I first started in Miami, it was Miami's #1 hit music station, Y100, right? When I first started, this is how crazy radio is. I would have to say that originally, starting my break and ending my break. So let's just say I was introducing Britney Spears. I realized Miami's #1 hit music station, Y100. Here's Britney Spears. Hit me, baby, one more time on Miami's #1 hit music station, Y100. And at the time, we're just following orders. So I'm like, all right, I'll say it. But it's crazy. But I remember one of the big programming directors at the time, Elvis Duran, came into the studio in Miami. It was like years ago, like 7 years ago. And they came in from New York. And I was on the radio on the weekend. And one of the big executives comes in and said, Chris, Elvis and I are going to South Beach right now. We got to go to an event. We're going to go to the radio. Give us like 20 minutes to get into the car. And here's what I want you to do. Your next break, all I want you to say is, whether you end with it or start with it, all I want you to say is Y100. And I was like,
where does that fit?
I can't do that. That's not even normal. Who says just that?
Who talks that way?
And my brain was so programmed to just do what it was supposed to do. But this is where the power of 3 comes in. It's reframing, reprogramming your mindset. So the cool thing is that this thing that we have up here, it's programmable. It's like a remote control. We can add our own playlist. We can do whatever we want to do. We can program what we want to do and how we want to do it. And I was so nervous. I was like, oh my God, I don't know if I can just say. And think about how simple it is. I was going from Miami's #1 hit music station, Y100, to saying what I had to say to Miami's #1 hit station, Y100, twice in a break in 20 seconds, 10 seconds, to just saying Y100.
You know what it reminds me of? WNBC. Remember in the private parts with Howard Stern? WNBC. It sounds like I'm saying the same thing you're saying. That was such a great movie, but Howard Stern, his whole thing really illustrates exactly what you're talking about. And so he goes to satellite radio and can do whatever the heck he wants now. We had Paul Casanova on the Wolff Den, and he's hopped around, but he's got a following, so it's like he doesn't care. He'll go to another radio station and he'll be successful. Did you ever think about having your own show or being part of a show like that instead of just being kind of like a host?
Yeah, we have. We're working on a couple of things. We're working on Cruz Live. We're actually working on a reality show. It's looking at a national distribution that's coming up. This just came up recently. The Hombre Experience, which is my men's networking event, we're working on that as well. But more importantly, my biggest legacy project that I've been really hustling after has been the Power of 3.
Is that a one-on-one? Is it a group? Is it in person? Is it has that been?
It's going to be a couple of things. I mean, the Power of 3 is a step. It's a level process that goes from a 3-day to 7-day to 21-day to 63 days. Because right now, neuroscience is saying that it takes approximately 63 days of habitual habit for somebody to change a mental neural pathway in the brain, right? So this is just science. So it's going to start off as a 3-day. That's like my legacy projects. Those are where I really want to put my eggs into that basket and make it work. But in the meantime, I got to make money. I got to reach for the low-lying fruit and do what I do best, and that's hosting and entertainment. So we're doing other projects that are going to lead that way. We are working at Cruz Live, which is going to be a national program. There's some cool things happening on that back end. But Cruz Live is going to be kind of like a Jimmy Fallon meets James Corden on the road, like where the hell is Waldo type of deal, where we're out, different locations with different celebrities and artists, and just real deal, like fun stuff, right? Because I've done so many interviews in my life. Interviews are boring, and the reality is they're boring for me and they're boring for the talent, right? Because a lot of these celebrities, and I've interviewed some of the, from Justin Bieber to Jennifer Lopez to Selena Gomez to Kim Kardashian, they hear the same stuff over and over and over and over.
That's a great point, because this is what I try and do on the Wolff Den, and why we do longer. It's like no unscripted. Like, let's get beyond the surface. If it was a talk show, they all have the same talking points that they want to say, and it's like, let's ask the questions that you don't rarely get asked, or that make you think deeper, that might be a tough conversation. And that's what we try and do here on the Wolff Den. And I get people sometimes, I've had a few guests, and they'll be like, so the question you're asking, no, it wasn't a question. It was just a comment. Do you have anything to say about it? Instead of having a pre-designed talking points on what you're going to say when you come on to a show, which is, for me, I agree with you that it's like I can go online and watch these celebrities or anyone say the same thing over and over again 100 times.
Yeah, what's funny? When I started really getting deep into doing the interviews, and I was working with NBC and Deco Drive here locally in South Florida and MTV, and I was learning how to interview for the first time, and I was nervous. Like, it was like a lot. Like, I didn't know how to really be in front of a camera and be in front of celebrities, and I would have all these questions. And one thing that I look back on when I was like, I interviewed Estelle and a couple of big artists, and I was doing some stuff with NBC and Channel 7 back in the day. So the executive producers would be like, Chris, I want you to sit right here in this chair and go look back at that interview that you did and tell me what you think you did wrong, right? The one thing that I learned that I did wrong in any interview process, whether you're political, if you're Katie Couric interviewing the president or whatever, is listening, right? It's a conversation. This is the same conversation you can have with your wife, your husband, your best friend, your therapist, or even your poodle, right? You need to listen to what's going on. And I was, at the point I started, I was so into like, I'm waiting for the next question. I got asked the next question, like their next video. And I was thinking about all that stupid stuff. Then I finally got to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm not going to ask any of those. I'm not even doing any of that anymore. Then I got to the point where I was interviewing backstage at iHeart, whatever. When I have all the videos on YouTube, by the way, Cruz Live. I just started talking to them. So like if Demi Lovato or like, I remember Kim Kardashian, I interviewed her, and we were at Sephora and she was releasing her new perfume or something. And I remember saying, and I have this on video, I said, if you found a way to put all that beautiful gorgeousness in a bottle, then you're going to be filthy rich, And I remember her reaction. She's like, ha, 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 but I got away from like, so what are you doing now? And I never got into the politics of like, what's going on with Kanye and what's going on with this, that. Anything that was negative, I stood completely away from it. One thing you learn in radio is stay away from politics, right? If it's political, religious, whatever, stay away from it.
Yeah,
because we're not there to do that.
Yeah, and entertain. I don't mind having those conversations here, and actually, it reminds me to say that we're going to err on the side of caution and have to fact check your 63 science. So we don't want to get Joe Rogan and put the false science stuff out there.
Oh, there's facts there. Tell Joe to call me. We'll get Joe on the phone.
But yeah, it's just about having a conversation. Like you said, there were 3 questions I wanted to ask you, and we just kind of got past it because it's just, whatever. It's no, sometimes you want to interrupt and ask that question because it's important. And sometimes it's just like, all right, we've moved on and let's you're going where it's
I
going.
mean,
Speaking of interviews, when I listen
here's
to
the
the
reality.
radio and you interview someone, it sounds like to me like you're not actually interviewing them, and they have to they're pre-recording. Does that happen sometimes with celebrities?
Oh, it happens all the time. But one of the things that I tried to really get into with regards to when I was talking to people, I try to get out of the interview process anymore. And I just made it seem, because it also took some of the fear away from me, right? Because I was so nervous and fearful to talk to Ariana Grande, Fifth Harmony, Justin Bieber, being on the red carpet at the Billboard Awards. So in order for me to take that fear away, I was like, okay, you know what? I can't be so premeditated on what I think I'm going to say, because they don't really give a flip about what I'm saying or not saying. And they don't really care if I'm asking about their album, whatever, because they've been asked, the 9 people in front of me, Michael Yo with E or Ryan Seacrest, they ask the same damn questions, the 9 people in front of me. So by the time they get to me, it's like, what am I asking them? Oh, what are you wearing? Oh, how's that album doing? Oh, how's the new video? Did you really break up with Justin Bieber? It's like, who the flip cares? Nobody cares. So I'm like, oh my God. So like, how do you like Vegas? Is it cold here? What do you do for Christmas? What do you buy somebody for Christmas and your family when you have all the money in the planet?
What
And
do they
then,
buy
and then
you? I mean, that's a better question. What do they buy you?
yeah, but I've had like Kesha, I've had certain celebrities walk away from it and like, you know what? That was an awesome interview. I've had celebrities tell me that was a cool interview. Thank you.
It's a
Because they're
nice
so
feeling.
used to it's a great feeling because they're so used to hitting with the same stuff, same questions. And I've worked with a lot of celebrities and I've toured with like Jake Miller and a whole bunch of artists on the road. I've seen it firsthand. I've worked behind the scenes at the red carpets in the media and press rooms where you see all the celebrities come through and you see all the media people from NBC to CBS to E to Access Hollywood asking, and they all ask the same stuff. And they try to be all pretty with their front people, their camera girls or whatever. So then, part of what I was trying to do differently as Chris was, how do I relate to them differently? I remember, and I have this interview too. I can show you the video. I'll send it to you later. Machine Gun Kelly was at Jingle Ball, and he was coming down the line. I was at the end of the line. I was interviewing for Deco Drive for iHeartRadio for the radio station. And he's coming down the line. He comes to one of the girls in front of me, and she was interviewing for I don't know who, whatever. Well, the girl was so silly that she thought he was a DJ. He thought she was like a big, like electro EDM DJ. I think she called him Diplo, and it was Machine Gun Kelly. So he got very offended, right? He's like, "No, I'm an artist. I'm Machine Gun Kelly. I'm not Diplo." It was something like that. And I told my camera guy, I go, "Oh shoot, we're gonna have to take this guy out of here. As soon as he comes to me, take the camera. We're leaving." And I had the leverage and the authority to be able to do something like that because most media can't walk out of the room with an artist. He came to me and I was like, "Hey, you know what?" I said, "Let's get out of here. You want to get out of here?" He goes, "Yeah, let's get the fuck out of here." That's the first time I'm gonna curse on your show. Bleep it out.
You're not the first person. There's no bleeping out, by the way. We don't edit this.
Oh, fuck that shit, motherfucker, shit, fuck. So we take them, and it was at BB&T Center, and and it's downstairs, so it's like in the arena, so it's cold. So most of the locker rooms have like double doors. So you have a door, and then you go through another door, and you go into the locker rooms, whatever. So I'm in the little double door with him, and I'm like, "Yo, what's up?" Da da da. He goes, "Man, she just called me a DJ," and I go, "Yeah, it sucks." Da da da. And I have this on video, by the way. And by the end of that interview, when I got into he was pissed. By the end of the interview, he was like, "Yo, this is my boy, Cruz, da da da." So that's just leveraging people. Because the reality is with celebrities and anybody of substantial like success and value, political, who doesn't matter. The world looks at you as like you're like this toy or something to mess with. When you're in the circles and you see it, you can sometimes, and I've seen it like with Ari and a whole bunch of other artists, you can see why people get upset and get pissed off. Because the fans, right? The audience, the GP, general public, by the way, gets irritating, right? They expect you to like do all this crazy stuff because you're a celebrity and they're nobodies, and you should be doing everything because they apparently made you. And it's fine, it's understandable, I get it. But then you can understand why certain artists flip out and they get crazy. But as a talent, as a personality, as a media, television, radio, I learned how to be able to speak to certain artists and kind of speak to them on their level. So we're cool. So I never want it to be. You never want to talk to them about like. I want to talk to you, like, who are you? What makes you happy? What are you doing for the holidays? What's Christmas look like for you and your family? And a lot of times with Jingle Ball, for example, we were literally at the end of December, and most of these guys, it's the end of their tour, and they're going away for a month to go hang with their families, go spend Christmas, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and so on and so forth. So that's the entertainment side of the world. In the last couple of years, I started to have to, reconfigure who Cruz was going to be and where I was going to take my talents as a communicator, as a speaker, as a creator. And that's where the Power 3 really started to evolve.
What do you make of Machine Gun Kelly drinking blood with Megan Fox?
I think that's a big media shtick.
The celebrity weddings is like, there's so few that I can really take seriously. Very few.
It's probably not even blood. I wouldn't even say that was blood, because who the hell wants to drink blood? Have you ever had blood? I've never had blood. I can't even imagine what blood tastes like.
If you try and go like this, if you're trying to stop the bleeding, everyone thinks that working in sports and entertainment is so glamorous, but it's not all it's cracked up to be. Sometimes you get access, but sometimes it's not glamorous, but everyone wants in from it, and most people don't leave once they're in.
Yeah, I mean, listen, in that world, if you want to be at the front of the parade the whole time, it's cool, but I like my privacy. And I've seen firsthand a lot of these people, they literally, they cannot walk into a normal store without being. Now, mind you, and I worked a lot like in West Hollywood and different places where there's a lot of celebrities that live in the area. And normally it's become, when I lived in Brooklyn, you see people, that's that person. You kind of see certain celebrities, and especially if you're in the business. But true story, when I used to live in Sunrise, when I first moved back from New York, I used to go to LA Fitness. And The Rock used to go to LA Fitness.
Oh, yeah.
And I just got engaged. My wife used to go to this team, and I would see him. He'd pull up in his Bentley, whatever. And out of respect, I never said anything to the guy. And I remember one day my wife was on a treadmill. This was years ago. And she was taking, like, she's doing one of these. Like, look, babe, look, it's The Rock. The Rock. It's like Jay-Z, The Rock in the building. And then she was like, oh, this guy came up to him on the second floor, and he's trying to do squats. And apparently, like Dwayne at the time, he goes into the gym, and he was living in Plantation Acres. And he would go and put his headphones on, and he would work out. Don't bother anybody. But you always get that one guy that's got to come up to you and ask you some random questions and want to be your friend. But you have to be able to accept that. Also as a celebrity, and sometimes celebrities get nasty because it's part of your job. And you know what? If you don't want to do that, then don't go in public. Yeah. Get your own gym, get a trailer or something, and call it a day.
I played basketball at LA Fitness with in Sunrise on Oakland Park. We used to play basketball with Jason Taylor and Zach Thomas. And and Taylor was a great basketball player too. He's just a tremendous athlete. But Zach Thomas, and I'm a big guy, he set a pick on me, and I couldn't move my arm for like a week. It was brutal. It was brutal.
No, I love it. And funny thing is, Isaiah Thomas, who plays for Dolphins right now, lives across the street from me, like literally. And we've been watching him throughout they had a great season, the Dolphins, this year. We'll see what's going to happen at the Super Bowl on Sunday, the big game. And I remember Isaiah was outside one day, and I think it's his fiance. I don't think it's his wife. And he's got this, I don't know what you call it. When they take the ball and they throw it through the little thing and it shoots out?
Yeah.
because he's a wide receiver running back. So that's what he does. He catches balls. So he's out there in front of his house in Parkland, and my kids were like, "Oh, I want to go say hello." So he's out there. He's got his dolphin helmet on, the whole 9 yards. And he's like, "Oh, hey guys, you guys good?" He's like, "You want to run one?" I like, "Run one what? I don't like running. Like last I ran, like no, I ran on treadmills." He goes, "No, she'll throw a ball and you run it." I was like, "No, because what's going to happen is the ball's going to come out of the machine. It's going to smack me in the face. I'm looking like a silly person in front of my kids and you and everybody else." So I said, "No, thank you." But yeah, it's cool. That's the funny thing about people and talents, right? When you're talented in something, it's just natural.
You don't think
Think
about how hard it is for the average person.
my encouragement to people when I talk about the power of three and reset, and you know this because I don't have to educate you on this. I know this, and I had to sometimes scramble to get back to this. Is get to the root of what you're good at, and then do that. Everybody's good at something, and there's a lot of speakers in the world that talk about certain things in the same level. Like I think Steve Harvey talks about it sometimes. Like if you're good at making chili, make some flippin' chili, start a company, start your own brand, sell it on the shelves at Publix, and make the best flippin' chili you can make. But most people don't think they can do that, so they never pursue that, right? Like the fact that we talked about this offline too. Like I want to start my podcast, and you said it, Chris. Biggest thing you gotta do is just start, bro. And that's the biggest thing you gotta do is start.
I
We
posted
get
today.
afraid, we get paralyzed.
Yeah, I posted today because Nick Bennett had a post. The stat out there is that 90% of all podcasts out there don't do more than 3 episodes. And he said there's 2 million podcasts. That means 1.8 million done, not even operating. So to be in the top 10%, all you got to do is 4 episodes and you're in the top 10%. So yeah, just doing it there's going to be roadblocks. You have to get past them. But the hardest part, I had all these great ideas. And after I got the first roadblock, I just stopped. And I'm like, you know what, this is going to be too tough. I started making excuses for why I couldn't do it. And when I did this ticket time machine, I said, forget it. I'm doing this. And I just went through, and the same with the podcast. And you'll find that, look, you might fail, and I still might fail. I might fail at whatever and not get where I need to go. But man, I would be much more upset if I didn't at least get to the point where I'm at now. Brent is a local, very big fan of the show, Bengals fan. He said he'd be fishing here. Now he could. The thing is, like, he could have back in the day. He's a very successful real estate agent in the South Florida area. If anyone needs a realtor, but he's very good. He could do fishing. If he wanted to do fishing, there's people who fish, and that's what their life is. He's married and has 3 kids, so it's maybe a little bit more difficult now. But I think if that's what you wanted to do, then I think you should at least give it a shot in some capacity. You have 4 kids, right?
Yeah.
My brother's
we have another hour. We have another hour to talk about that.
Yeah, my brother. Well, we could talk about that offline or online. It's free on the Wolff Den. Offline, I charge hourly rate. But
yeah, it's. I mean, listen, you're dead on. One of the biggest things that with the power of 3. So my avatar is men of faith, businessmen, preferably married, 35 to 55, right? That's usually the age range where we start to fall off a little bit, especially when things like COVID happen, trying to figure out like marriage, like where do we want to be? Like, did we achieve the things that we want to achieve? And men and women are different, separately. But it's really just a matter of just being real of where you're at and where you want to be and be true to yourself. And that's the hardest part. And then as men, as I say a lot of times that a lot of men suffer in silence, as men, married men, whatever the case is, we're raised to be machismo and, boys don't cry type of stuff. And it's like, guys have feelings too. Like we're freaking out about stuff. We're trying to keep a family together. We're trying to keep a business together. We don't want to fire our, 50 people that work for us but we really hate our career. We don't want to do what we do. Like, I don't want to be a lawyer anymore. I want to bake cookies for a living. Like, so bake fucking cookies. Like, do what you got to do, because the reality is life is short and you need to be happy. But but look at it, dissect it a little bit, and then just peel it apart and say, you know what? Why am I really upset? Why is this bothering me? Why am I having these issues with my family, with my wife, with my boss, with the case, with it? And when you get to certain age levels, it's scientifically proven. You ask yourself different questions at different levels of your being, right? There's rare few people like you and like me and like us and in the circles of people that are entrepreneurs, and that we're okay to take chances and do things. Do you know how many people don't take chances?
I
They
wish I was
talk
taking.
shit
Yeah.
all the time. And I mean, even I talk shit about certain things, but I know some people talk shit all the time. I had a kid who wants to be a hip hop artist, and he sells suits for like Hugo Boss at the Aventura Mall. And I had to break down some numbers for him. I said, well, how many hours you work? How much you get paid? Oh, you get this much for 2 weeks and that much for a month. How many? Oh, 60, 70 hours a week. Okay, great. And I divided. I said, do you realize you only make like 12.50 an hour? You can probably go work at McDonald's and make the same amount of money and have less headache.
Yeah.
Because people aspire to do things, but then they never take the initiative. And here's the cool thing that I will say this, anybody listening. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's not your parents' fault. It's not your wife's fault. It's not your dog's fault. It's a mental state of mind that is reprogrammable and trainable if you choose to decide that you want something different. I ran a marathon. I ran the New Jersey Marathon back in like 2002. And running a marathon is very mental.
Oh, it's
If you don't
crazy.
get into, it's very mental. If you don't get into a mental state of mind, you're screwed, because it's a long run. But the cool thing is, like working out, like losing weight, like stopping cigarettes, like anything in the world, your brain, this thing up here, is totally under your control. Yet, it's totally under control of the world. And I'll say this very delicately, because people are listening and watching. The world, media, governments, they know this already. And that's why a lot of things that happen, it's able to kind of, subdue our minds and tranquilize the way we think and what we think and how we think, so we don't think anymore that we should be thinking. And that's why you, sir, have an awesome podcast, and you have awesome guys like me on the podcast. So I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
it's man, the Brent is in Parkland. He said he might have come across. We had a guy who does hypnosis and talks about retraining the thoughts. I probably should introduce you to him. It's
By the way, I love hypnosis, and if anybody needs hypnosis on YouTube, there's a lot of, if you just keyword guided hypnosis, you'll find some really good people.
yeah. What I was at the Tesser wedding, Tesser bar mitzvah this past weekend. I know you've done a lot of those weddings. You do events, speaking in front of people. Is there different preparation for those different types of events?
No, well, no. I always say that because I've doing it for so long. The only difference for me is the sequence of the event, right? So the energy, the output of what I'm doing is usually the same. I mean, I'm I'm a little bit different. I will humbly say that I'm a veteran, seasoned host, right? So I'm able to be a chameleon in the space where I can go onto one stage corporately in front of 7,000 people, or like I've done Grant Cardone's 10X Growth Con in Vegas and Mandalay Bay, or then I could do a bar mitzvah. And one thing that I learned that I did differently as an MC, in the social world for bar mitzvahs, weddings, every client and every couple and every bar mitzvah family or guest of honors is the same but different. One thing that I did above my peers in the industry was I was able to work with who my audience was, right? And I think certain like people like comedians, whatever, the right ones can do the right things.
Oh, they're great at
A
that.
lot of a lot of hosts and MCs, and I've seen it, and I don't want to call anybody out, but they have a shtick, they have a way of doing what they do, and that's what they do, and it never changes. That's their show, and it's fine, and it could work. But to me, if I'm doing an event, let's say in West Boca or West Babylon, New York, or in Beverly Hills, from when I'm doing a bar mitzvah to when I'm doing a wedding, even weddings, like even when I do one couple versus an Italian couple versus a Jewish couple versus an Indian couple, same sequence of events, essentially, but I got to adjust my personality to hopefully still be Chris Cruz, but fit within the clientele that I'm kind of working with. That's one thing that I did to kind of move in and out, and just most people don't do that. They're this and that's it. Whether it's Indian, Chinese, Japanese, Swiss cheese, it's all the same stuff.
Harlan Williams does this with his comedy bit. 75% probably of his whole routine is just interacting with the crowd, not knowing what the heck they're going to say, what he's going to say, and he kills it. It's hilarious. He's great at it. So yeah, adapting. I mean, there's so many times, even when we used to go to Tarpon Bend and Murphy's Law, the DJ would just play the same thing, and you could see the dance floor just disappear. I'm like, dude, play this song. No, we're going to do this. It's unbelievable how arrogant some of these DJs are when they're out there. Give me a song that everybody's heard.
Well, I'll make two comments. So a song, I mean, it changes obviously because of time. But like I think even in the last decade, God, I can't. I mean, you're talking to a radio DJ and a DJ and an MC and who's done a lot of different things.
What a song you love to hear at every party? Is there a favorite song when you're at a wedding that you want to hear?
If you're looking for tech, I mean, it could be anything from an AC/DC to a Flow Rider Low to a Black Eyed Peas to a Fireball.
How about
like those are just party starters?
How about a song you wish you never heard again at a wedding or a party?
Oh wow, that's a good one. The Harlem Shake. Or the Cupid Shovel.
Oh man, I was killing it with the wobble.
Not the slide.
I was killing it with the Cupid Shuffle and the wobble. I killed it at the bar mitzvah. I got called up on stage actually for my wobble, but probably because I was the only adult doing it.
Can I tell you, I'm presently just as a side gig, I host down in South Beach at the Clevelander, and even recently we played that. And to speak on what you said earlier about every time I go on stage to do a shtick or do whatever, because I have a national audience, sometimes international, because some of these people are coming from all over the world. When I get on the mic and I go out on that stage in Miami Beach at the Clevelander, unlike what I said earlier about like knowing my bar mitzvah client or knowing the wedding couple, as a seasoned MC, I got to walk out on the stage. I don't know who the heck I'm talking to. And I literally become a stand-up comic at amateur night, and I'm looking at the crowd. I know what I want to do, and sometimes I feel like I'm going to get in trouble because I'll literally just say some really dumb, random shit. Like there was one group of wait, no, I don't know if I should say this, but I'll say it anyways. So there was a gay group, or I don't want to, what do you want to call it? And I have nothing against, whatever, but good looking group. Like they're all buff and they're wearing Speedos and stuff. And I was like, all right, we got the lovely men of the Chippendales in the building. And they're like, yeah, all the girls are screaming. And I gotta look at the room, and I had one weekend, there was a group of guys and they were all dressed up really nice. And I was like, oh, they're getting ready for a modeling shoot for J. Crew. They start laughing. The crowd starts laughing. Sometimes I put my foot in my mouth and I'll say some dumb shit. And I'm like, oh, probably should have said that. But you're an entertainer. You're a comic. You're a voice of the public. You can't be right all the time, but when you're on stage in front of tons of people or tens of thousands of people or a very exclusive audience of a couple hundred people or whatever the case is, I don't have a teleprompter. I don't have a script. I have to just do whatever I think is right, and I got to get out there. And I love that because it keeps me on my toes, keeps my feet, but, as I move forward, I guess I get a little older. I'm focusing on my future legacy items, and then I'm doing what I do best. One thing that I realized lately is that I'm a communicator. I love this, like this conversation I'm having with you, being on a stage, being on a microphone. Like when I die, I want my wife, my family to put a microphone in my coffin with me. Just
Yeah,
give me a mic, just put it in there, and that's it. Because it's all I've ever known. It's what I'm good at.
Speaking of your wife, I'm told we have some mutual friends. I know you with the testers, but my friend Dave and Aretha and Chad Wojcik, your friend.
Yeah.
Aretha and her crew.
We love them.
They say hello. She's probably working at Champs right now, but
she is. I gotta get some kicks from her.
Yeah, she's the best. A face for radio, is that just a saying, or is there some truth to that? Because you see the people on TV, they're going for the very good looking, fit people, the same way pharmaceutical companies have it. But is that just a saying?
No, I think it changed. I think I think it definitely changed. I mean, I started in radio in 2000. I was working with radio with DJ Laz and all these guys back in the late 90s, and I used to dance for Laz here in Miami before I moved back to New York. So that Power 96 was like the it station in Miami, South Florida, and Y100 at the time, even before I went there, was more like it was like a light FM. It was like Shania Twain, Elton John. So, and then Hot 105 was like the urban R&B classic station. So it was back then, Power 96 was like power. And I worked with Laz, and I used to dance for, for Freaking. And I would say that, yeah, at one point, the face for radio situation, I always say till now, I mean, if as many people, and I very humbly say this, if as many people heard me over the years on Y100 in Miami and South Florida, knew my face, I'd be much more popular.
I agree. I mean,
I'll talk to people and be like, oh, you're Chris Cruz? Oh my God, yeah, I used to listen to you for years. Because remember, it was 15 years in Miami, but nobody saw my face, and then technology and media really only, and social media, all this stuff only really kicked in like 7 years ago. And now the last couple of years only getting better, but no one was really doing video and TikToks and all this stuff. Yeah, but I think back in the day, yeah, you look at some of the old school DJs, they really weren't like, they weren't really lookers.
Oh, but you think like there's so many people on the radio that, and I'm not talking about, the people on radio and TV, the morning shows or afternoon and even on Sirius XM. I don't have any idea what these people look like. I couldn't pick them out of a lineup. And so it doesn't matter. The truth is, it doesn't matter. But there is something about someone who's on camera, and they still get put together very well. But it's changed a little bit, obviously, in the day and age that we're at. I love to talk about Mount Rushmores. Give me a Mount Rushmore of hosts. It could be radio, TV, like Ryan Seacrest.
Wait, so wait, what's wait? Wait, I like your questions. Actually, kind of fun. Okay, so wait, but Mount Rushmore, are we looking at something like we want to look at, or
no, the four best? Or
okay,
your four
so if I was looking at, well, that's kind of hard because that means I'm gonna have to put my shit and not be one of those guys because I'm not technically. But okay, so if I had to do the Mount Rushmore of radio, I would have to say...
Or a host. It could be anyone. It could be like Seacrest because he's also on TV. Anyone.
I would have to say, and I auditioned for Seacrest for Kiss FM in LA. I remember I was on 2 hours in a live audition at Kiss FM in Los Angeles before he was coming on. I was terrified.
He looks terrible.
I would say like
that guy needs to take a nap or something.
Because he works, he's a beast. So I would say if it's radio, I would say Seacrest because he's syndicated. He's case to case basically now. I would say Stern because Stern's obviously a big radio name. Rock and pop and everything in the middle. Elvis Duran. How many people on Mount Rushmore? Is it 4 or 5?
4.
So you have Seacrest, Stern, Duran, and it would have to be somebody in my actual age range, technically. Because even Elvis goes back a long time.
Yeah. Well, I was a Footies Wingding winner, and I want the Wingding eating it, and I won a trip to the Turks and Caicos.
Yeah, I mean, Footy's cool, but Footy was always a Florida boy.
Yeah.
Footy wasn't really.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you knew this, but the first year that I started at Y100 was the last year just before Elvis took over with the morning show. It was Footy and Kenny and Footy.
Kenny
It was the
Walker.
last year, and yeah, and Froggy was there, and the way that Froggy got on with Elvis was when they asked Footy to step down. That's really what, because he had been in the business with Y100 since forever. It was kind of like they bow when you get to that level of radio and that in media level. When you're like Elvis Duran's of the world, they don't fire you. You just bow out and just basically say it's been great. It's been a great 10 decades. It's been an awesome ride. I'm gonna go retire now. Have a great day. They didn't want to piss off the audience at the time, so that's kind of why Froggy ended up staying involved. Elvis came on board, and then I could tell you so many behind the scenes stories, like even with Michael Yo and Nina, and like how those things evolved and where they went.
Speaking of Elvis,
I don't really care anymore because they can't fire me. They already did.
Speaking of Elvis, these Michael Oppenheimer is my favorite, but there's no way that these are not somewhat scripted.
Oh, they're scripted. So when I started at K2 New York, 103.5 The Beat, I worked with Vic Latino. It was one of my first real radio gigs, and I was working for MTV and doing a bunch of other shows. And Vic was really good. He was a new night guy. He's doing really well. He's got a bunch of radio stations in West Palm Beach now. And I was his phone operator, right, when they had people answering phones, technically. And he would have a whole handful of friends and people that he was cool with that they would all call in and have these different characters. Like I remember Vic had a character called Slowpoke. Hi, this is Slowpoke calling for the top 99. This is Slowpoke. I want to do an announcement, Vic Latino. Hello. And but Slowpoke would do the same thing as Habibi. And then the same guy that he was friends with was Habibi. Hey, this is Habibi, and I want to cover number 9, number 8. And it was just characters. And it was cool because it's like SNL. Like it was
Turkey Boys. Back in the day, it could work, but now everyone knows this stuff.
Yeah, but you know what? The system has changed. The audience has changed, and a lot of people they're not amused like that anymore. It's funny. It's radio's different, and how we interact with the audience is different. It's like
everything's staged. Everything's staged now. To me, the Impractical Jokers. I mean, who doesn't know who these people are to have it going? At the games, you see the staged boyfriend-girlfriend fights. I mean, everyone knows it's not real. It's so obviously staged. People are lip syncing.
Yeah,
not singing anymore.
But I think the audience. That's the problem. Is that the audience? It's not the problem. It's good for the people selling it. But what's happened is
bad consumers,
the average consumer, the average viewer, they're still entertained by it.
Yeah.
They're entertained by it. So obviously it's still working. Obviously they're still selling, commercial and national sponsorships. So until it stops working, they're going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
And even look at all these new things with these new American Idols and these new this and new that. It's just like, it's a lot.
What show would you like to host? If you could host any show, what show would it be? Do you ever thought about that? Like, I could host American Idol.
Chris Cruz Live.
I know, but you're Chris Cruz Live. What show that already exists that everyone watches?
If I had to do a show, I would probably do, and I actually auditioned for it and I didn't get it. Because there was a time that they auditioned for it. It was before, what's his name? Mariah's ex-husband.
Cannon.
Cannon, yes. America's Got Talent.
Okay.
And the reason why it would be America's Got Talent would be because, hold on one second. I don't have a quarter. Actually, let me see if I have a quarter. I'm in the middle of a podcast and I got people asking me for quarters.
Where are you at, Aldi? They need a quarter for the Aldi basket?
No, I'm at Home Depot. Just so if you really want to know. Here. Come on.
There we go. Charitable. And for the record, Chris did not pay him a quarter to come up and ask for a quarter.
I gave him $1. I gave him extra 5 cents profit. I would do America's Got Talent only because it's like I like the diversity of it. You know, It's fun. You know, you can see a whole bunch of different people and
I just don't like that. There's too many singers on there. Like so many singing stuff. I don't want singers on America's Got Talent.
Singers is hard, and I've worked with a lot of upcoming artists over the years, and you know, that whole industry is it's challenging. It's very difficult. You know, with what I want to do with the Power of Three, going kind of back to that, is just getting just back to the base and the reality of life. And I think a lot of people are just confused and I want to say lost, but I think that's a true statement. And what do you do next? Like the world's so weird right now. It's crazy.
Where
people are trying to figure out where to go next.
Yeah. When are we going to be able to see the Power of Three, Ari? When?
It's evolving. I'm actually in Los Angeles next week. I'm hosting for TAC Talks Live. It's a speaking conference. You guys can check that out on Instagram at TAC Talks Live. A small version of the quick reset is online already at Reset-Rethink-Restart.com.
Yeah, everything.
We're still establishing the brand and the course. It's going to probably kick off as a 3-day retreat. It's just been a lot of just assembling and pretty much putting all the information together because, you know, unlike entertainment and media, the Power of Three for me is a very real. It's real and it's very substantial. I take it very seriously because now I'm messing with people's lives, right?
Yeah.
And their livelihoods and their futures. I don't want to tell anybody anything that is not, in my perspective, something that I want them to really listen to. But the cool thing about the Power of Three is I'm going to give my views and I'm going to give things that I went through that got me to where I'm at. And then it's really just based on, you know, what your reality is and what you assume it to be. And then you take it for what it's worth.
Well, check out.
And that's.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Check out ChrisCruzLive.com, Instagram. Like you said, Reset-Rethink-Restart.com. All the information down here and get in touch with Chris. Big things coming. Big things already happened. Big things coming. Looking forward to seeing where that goes. But we're going to let you out of the Wolff Den with the same question we let everyone go with. You can spend a day with anybody in the world. They have to be alive. You can't be related to them or have easy access to them. Who would you pick and what are you guys going to do?
Okay, that's kind of technical. Because I would say Jesus. Because Jesus technically is alive in spirit, right?
We'll agree to disagree on that one. That's for another episode.
If I had to spend and they're alive? My God, I wasn't prepared for these questions.
That's the point.
They're living right now.
Got to be alive.
Would I get in trouble? Would I get in trouble if I was married or not married? Okay.
No.
If they're alive, holy crap! I never really actually thought about that one.
What comes up? What's at the top of your head? Just
Megan Fox.
Megan Fox. Drinking blood with Megan Fox. There you go.
But those girls, they start looking raunchy after a little bit. After like the fourth Transformers, like, no, I'm not even like a Megan Fox. I honestly, I really don't even know. There's so many really interesting people out there. You know, maybe even like, you know, Jeff Bezos. I mean, like,
great. Can't go wrong with that.
How do you just give me 0.5% of your knowledge so I can just go try to be successful?
Well,
you know, because I don't really care about the celebrities and all that stuff. Like, you know, whatever. There's a bunch of celebrities, great. They did a whole bunch of things, awesome. You know, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, look, Chris Cruz Live, Power of 3RE. Check it out. Great to chat with you. I'm sure we'll chat again.
Thank you, Matt.
we'll have a talk to get you your show on this platform too. It's going to work well for you, and looking forward to seeing what's next. Have a great weekend. Who's going to win the Super Bowl?
I don't know. I don't gamble, but I would assume that anything with Tom Brady in it is probably going to be a winner.
Well, Brady's not in the Super Bowl this year. He retired. What are you going to eat?
Oh, did he retire? That's my show. What am I going to eat? I'll eat most likely a burger.
There you go. Burger, cheese,
bacon, and cheese, and
beautiful
pickles and tomatoes and all that stuff. It's got to be sloppy where it just gets everywhere.
Everywhere. That's what Super Bowl Sunday is about. Enjoy the game. Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you, my friend.
Thanks a lot.
All right, Matt. Appreciate you. Thank you, sir. Have a good one.